you as a coach would know certainly better than anybody else. You hate for a thing like this to happen, but when it happens to one of your outstanding, one of your best players, it makes it even more difficult.
That is very tough. It's a very fine line.
Elliott's kickoff to Gray. Mel Gray. And is he dangerous? Wrestled to the ground. Finally, a flag already on the play on the opening kickoff. Thomas Everett down to make the stop. This could be a face mask violation against him.
And I think Jimmy Johnson's big worry, besides Michael Irvin missing that airplane, was Mel Gray being the most dangerous kick returner in the league.
Rodney Peete will open at quarterback for the Lions. In front of him, pasted together offensive line: Lomas, Brown, Bowens, Miller, Dallafour, and Conover up front. 4 wide receivers: Green, Perryman, Campbell, and Russell. And of course, the lone setback, who doesn't stay set very long, Barry Sanders. The book on Rodney Peete. Herman Moore split wide to the right. Willie Green wide left. 4-man front, 1 linebacker, and a lot of defensive backs for Dallas. Peete fumbled by the Lions. Jeff Campbell and the Cowboys get it back. Russell Maryland made the recovery. Ken Norton made the hit that caused it.
And the Lions were going to come out throwing like they did before. They started with their 4 wide receivers. The Cowboys had their answer to it. There's 6 defensive backs in there. Only 1 linebacker. That was Ken Norton. And he was the guy who made the tackle that knocked it out of there to get the turnover.
At the Detroit 41, Dallas takes over. 1st and 10. Turn that Wayne Font said, yes, we can't afford. 2 tight ends open for the Cowboys. This is Emmett Smith. Emmett Smith got a yard. Jenkins made the stop. Troy Aikman, the Dallas quarterback. You forget how big he is. In front of him, an outstanding offensive line. Tuine, Newton, Stepnoski, Giesick, Williams, and the tight end, Jay Novacek. Emmett Smith, Darrell Johnston, the 2 running backs. Emmett does most of the running. Martin and Harper open. There's Michael Irvin. 4-man front for Detroit. Ball is not in at the moment. Here's Aikman to throw. Through the hands of Harper. Incomplete. Crockett made the hit. This has Jerry Ball in that 3-man front with Owens and Spindler at the ends. The linebackers, a good group when they're healthy. Kofor, Gibson, Spielman, and Jamison. In the secondary, also a good group. Crockett and Jenkins, the corners, Blades and White. Both hurt, but both playing. 3rd and 9. Jimmy Smith and Calvin Martin wide left, Harper wide right. Aikman to throw it. Almost picked off, intended for Harper. Crockett had a hand on it, but pressure put on. Aikman caused that.
Hey, again, this is awfully close. You see that Aikman didn't get a lot on that one. That was kind of wobbly, but he threw that right to Ray Crockett. Now, when we talked to Troy Aikman yesterday, the thing that he said is when you come in and you play a team like Detroit, he says, we have to get ahead of them early. He said that first series will be big for us. They got the turnover, then they didn't take advantage of this first series, and they have to punt here.
Saxon back to punt to Gray. Trying to get it out of bounds. Maybe he did. At the 1. Saxon's been in a little bit of a slump. That'll make him feel a lot better. Not Wayne Fonts. Nothing first quarter. 13:36 left to play in the first. Haley, Maryland, Casillas, and Tolbert up front, although they'll substitute a lot. Norton, Jones, and Smith, the linebackers. Secondary, Holt and Brown, the corners. Washington and Thomas Everett, the two deep men. Barry Sanders. It's been a frustrating year for him, particularly. In general, for all of these Detroit Lions. They thought they were progressing on a plane with the Cowboys. And somebody got left at the gate. Pete, flag outside to Herman Moore. A gain of about 5, stopped by Holt.
Now, one of the things I think that has helped Detroit a little for this game is they kind of went back and looked at how they beat Dallas twice last year, and they beat them by opening up, by throwing the ball, by a quicker release, by using more 4 wide receivers, less tight ends, by throwing all the time on first down and not, run, and then throw on 3rd and long. And they're bringing that same game plan in. Of course, there's the guy who was a quarterback that really beat Dallas twice last year.
Sanders is the deep back, and he gets the carry. Got away from Haley. Got it. The Lions out of the hole, finally stopped by Everett and Washington, the two safety men.
Yeah, this guy is good in any situation, Barry Sanders. But if you're not ready to play, this guy can kill you. And I think you have to be ready to play, and you have to be ready to tackle, because he's going to make you miss tackle. Now, what the Cowboys are trying to do is what they call a soft tackle. Just get in position and wrap them up. Now, in the looks of that first Sanders run, they were all too soft, the tackles.
1st and 10 at the 20. Sanders got 15. He gets another carry with Lomas Brown in front of him. Still on his feet, finally herded out of bounds by Tony Tolbert. A gain of 14 for Sanders.
Here's the thing now, they don't do this an awful lot, but you'll see the left tackle, what they're doing is take their left tackle and they're going to pull him to the right. Barry Sanders starts this way, boom, he gets right in behind Lomas Brown going up there. This isn't a big play. You see Lomas Brown almost get knocked off. Sanders wait for him. Then he makes a little dodge, a little move. Then he goes right by Lomas Brown. But that's that old counter tray that the Redskins have run so much.
Another first. You forget how fast he is, in addition to being so elusive. Moore by Holt. Down. The ball popped out, but he was down.
And I think that was the reason that Jimmy Johnson was so upset yesterday, because his team has had the most relaxed week of practice they ever had. And when Michael Irvin misses the airplane, he thinks their heads really aren't into this game. And he said last night, he said, I want to tell you one thing. And he said, I told Jerry Jones, our owner, we are ripe today.
He said to me just a moment ago, I just hope we can get one and get out of here. Sanders. Another Detroit first down, and again the two safety men, Washington and Everett, have to make the tackle. A pickup of 13 yards. Remember, this all started back at the Detroit 1.
And this is a fun guy to watch. This is a draw, just a little delay, pick a hole. And when he got that ball, could he pick a hole? It was wide open in there. And then when he gets to you, at the end, he doesn't finish off runs like try and bowl over. He's going to make a spin, a move. He doesn't give you anything solid to hit. In fact, the Cowboys were saying they have never seen anyone ever get a solid hit on Barry Sanders.
4 plays of over 10 yards in a row. Sanders again. Cuts back inside to the 35 of Dallas. Casillas made the stop. A moral victory for the #1 defense in pro football, Dallas.
Yeah, but they don't look like it here. But when you get someone backed up, you got to put them away down there. And as you say, remember, this drive didn't start with good field position. The Detroit Lions got the ball and brought it off their own 1-yard line.
Second down, about 6 at the 35. Rodney Peete, the quarterback. That's Jimmy Johnson in motion.
Look at him back. Go, baby. Go.
Peete to throw. Picked off by Everett. Thomas Everett stops things for a moment. Dallas has recovered a fumble and now an interception. They've gotten 2 turnovers.
Well, this is what Rodney Peete sees. Now, one thing here, Pat, is you notice here, both of these teams have the same color helmets. And this is a little tough because, and I'm not making an excuse for Rodney Peete, but sometimes the only thing you see are helmets. And maybe he threw that to the helmet, but it was Everett that was in the jersey.
Perryman was the intended receiver, but Dallas takes over.
Hey.
Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. Magnavox, smart choices for smart people. The ingenious products from Magnavox. They're smart, very smart. And by Miller Lite, it's everything you want a beer to be.
Pass complete from Aikman to Michael Irvin, who lost the ball, but they say he was down. Irvin had just, during that timeout, during that break, entered the Cowboy huddle.
This is an interesting thing because it's Michael Irvin. Again, missed the airplane, didn't start. Now he's coming in here in the second series. But watch number 36 in here, the safety. So anytime you come in there, he's going to make a play. And the guy who finishes them off is Benny Blades, his old college teammate at Miami.
Their wives have been staying together this week here in Detroit. Irvin's wife came up for a visit. They call this incomplete pass. Remember, he's got to have both feet on the ground. He never did with the ball. Emmitt Smith wrapped up in the backfield by Kevin Pritchard.
Yeah, we talked about Detroit on offense. They were going to go back, spread them out, more passing. On defense, they're doing the same thing. You can see here they go back to the 3-man line, and where they just hit, read, control on the line of scrimmage. They've been using a 4-man line, and they playing gaps and shade gaps, and they really didn't know what they were doing. And they just want to come into Dallas, play their old, basic, solid defense.
3rd and long. Kelvin Martin in the slot to the left, to Aikman's left. Aikman gets it out to Emmitt Smith. And Emmitt skates out of bounds. Facing 3 Detroit defenders led by Ray Crockett. A gain of 6, and they'll have to punt.
I think Emmitt Smith is still tired from last week. That was one of the greatest efforts that I have ever seen in a football game that Emmitt Smith put on in that second half last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. In fact, if you look at that jersey, you'll notice that's a brand new jersey.
And he said after the game, I wasn't tired.
Yeah, he wasn't tired. Baloney. He was so tired they had to pack the jersey away. They made a rag out of it. They clean cars with it now.
Saxon's kick is a honey to Gray at the 9. Down by good coverage for Dallas. Dixon Edwards down, a 53-yard punt.
CBS Sports.
0-0 at the Pontiac Silverdome. 8:11 left to play in the first quarter. Pat Summerall with John Madden. And John, the Lions so far look as if they're not a 2-6 team. They look as if things are in pretty good control.
Yeah, they look very, very impressive. In fact, the only negative thing they've had is those 2 turnovers. Right. But Barry Sanders is always ready to play. And if you're not ready to tackle, it can be a long day for your defense.
Johnson back with Sanders. And Sanders faced by Haley and Jones. Let's send you now back to New York for an update.
All right, Pat, in Tampa, big play by the Minnesota defense. Steve DeBerg sacked by Al Noga and coughs it up. Carlos Jenkins picks it up and goes 22 yards for the second Viking touchdown of the day. 14-0 Minnesota in the first, Pat.
People are continually asking who is the surprise team in pro football. I think Minnesota would be at the top of that list somewhere.
Yeah, Denny Green and his staff have done an outstanding job there. And I like that defense. And you know the guy that I like is that guy just made that. I'm looking at him for the All-Madden team this year, I think.
They are very quick. This is Sanders, also very quick, but caught from behind by the big cat, Leon Lett.
Yeah, I think what happens, I think the Cowboys figured out after that first drive that they'd better do something. Here's Lett right here in the middle. And you see, Haley has really helped him because everyone has to worry about Haley. And then if you worry about Haley, you're going to give Lett some room to work in there. And they really work well together.
For a 300-pounder, the big cat is quick. Number 89, the Lions tight end for H-back. The injured Detroit player on the last play. He's out. Here's Rodney Peete. Back to their 4 wide receiver setup. That's Perryman moving around. Peete by Leon Lett. A loss of 5.
Talk about the #1 defense in the NFL and the improvement of that defense. This guy, Big Cat Lett, is a big part of it. You know, because he's the guy, you can get that outside rush, and the Cowboys have it with Charles Haley coming from one side. You got Jeff Coat from the other side, but you need that push in the middle to go with it, and Leon Lett has really given him that.
Calvin Martin back deep for Dallas. Jim Arnold, longtime Detroit kicker, gets it out of there. Martin on the run. And Kelvin out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Dallas will take over in great shape. Jimmy Johnson with 6:13 left to play in the first quarter and no score.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Kelvin Martin returning that punt, it was a 32-yard punt. He returned it 14 yards. They were worried about Kelvin Martin returning punts, and that's why they went to a new punt return where there's 2 other guys back with him. And what they said is he has trouble when he has to run to catch the ball.
Like that.
Yeah, but he ran and caught that one and put the Cowboys in excellent field position here.
Irvin wide left, Martin wide right. Reverse to Martin. Out of bounds, a gain of about 8. Kofer chased him down.
One thing about Kofer is he hasn't really practiced in a couple of weeks. He's had a neck injury, and they've sent him all over the country having x-rays and having different doctors check him to make sure that he's okay, and they really couldn't find anything wrong. And they would go to, kind of the day before the game every week to see if he could play. They weren't even sure yesterday if Michael Kofer would play.
2nd and 2. Novacek in motion. Aikman gives to Smith. Jerry Ball led the Detroit defense, and Smith didn't get the first down. Only half it.
You see Jerry Ball on Mark Stepnoski there, the center. You aren't going to run at Jerry Ball. I'll tell you, here's Ball. Now, Stepnoski, the center, has to block him. If you're going to run inside, you have to get the nose tackle going backward. You're not going to man him. See, Jerry Ball gets both hands up underneath. Boom! He says he pops him up. So he popped Stepnoski up, and then boom, right off, and he made the tackle.
3rd, about a yard. Emmett Smith, first down Dallas.
See, that time Emmett Smith ran it in there, and they got it because they took John Giesick and Stepnoski, and they double-team Ball. That's the way you have to do it. You're going to single him and get any movement. You see what you do here is you take the double-team. You see, here's Ball right here. Here's Ball right here. Now watch the double-team. We'll see that they're going to snap the ball and see the 2 guys on him. Boom, now they get underneath his shoulder pad. See how they get underneath? 1 on each shoulder pad. Then, boom, get him going back. Then that gives them the soft spot, and that's where Smith went.
Aikman gets it out to Darrell Johnston. A 2-yard pickup. William White on the stop. He didn't practice all week. In fact, early in the week, he was in a cast, then on crutches, no practice. Game time he's playing.
Yeah, he's one of the tough guys in this Detroit secondary. In fact, their whole secondary are tough guys. And you know, when I heard that he was in a cast after the game, I said, well, that puts White out. And then he was on crutches, didn't practice all week. I thought there was no way he'd be able to play today.
That's Alfredo Roberts in motion. Aikman to Smith. And it's Smith looking for some room in the defense. Benny Blades made the stop, a 4-yard gain for Smith.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about this Detroit defense is both those safeties, both White and Benny Blades, when you run the ball, are like extra linebackers. And when you go in there and run that ball, boom, they both hit that thing.
Here's Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, and watch the safeties come in at the end of the play. See, the line is the first line, then the second, and there's White right there, number 35.
3rd and 4. One thing you'll notice different about Jay Novacek today is the fact that he is wearing gloves. He's in motion.
He got tired of us talking about that finger last week, I think, that broken finger.
Aikman just threw it away. Nobody could clear. He was looking at Novacek.
Yeah, Jay Novacek had the broken finger and just had the bandage on it last week, and he had trouble. He dropped like 3 passes. And so, you know, a guy like that who's a hands guy and starts dropping passes, they kind of try everything and go to anything. They don't want to talk a lot about it. But as you said, it's obvious that he changed it from the bandage to the gloves this week.
Elliott back with Berline holding 30 yards away. Plenty of room and accurate. And Dallas dots the scoreboard first. 3-0 Cowboys, 2:45 left in the first quarter. A flag on the play. Holding against Detroit.
Now that'll also be an automatic first down. Now this is a decision for Jimmy Johnson. Well, you just saw it. He pointed to it. He already made the decision. Do you take points off the board?
He's going to do it.
Some schools will say you never take points off the board. Because if he takes a penalty, it'll give him a first down. But, again, you eliminate those 3 points. I think with this matchup, his offense against the Detroit defense, I think that's a good decision.
Now, why would you be holding
on the defense, number
if you're on
93,
the defense
the 5-yard
on a field goal attempt?
The offense is chosen.
Usually what they do is a guy grabs a guy and then holds him or pulls him so that someone else can hit a hole.
It's ball, they called against. 93.
It's right here, and he's probably going to grab someone so they can make a point here. Watch 93. You see him trying to pull the center out of there? That's what he was doing. He was trying to grab the center, pull him out of there to make a hole for the guy behind him. Big old ball got caught.
It also makes 1st and goal Dallas at the 8. Aikman to Smith. And it's Smith will score.
But Jimmy Johnson looks like a genius. You take the 3 off, you get the 6, and you let a little air out of yourself.
You know, it's funny. He doesn't look as mad as he did just a few minutes ago.
Well, I know it. And I'll tell you, did they get a block on Jerry Ball? It was a double team again. But you talk about getting a soft spot in there. Watch the block that they get here. If you're going to run against a nose tackle, you have to get movement. They knocked him all the way back into the linebacker, Chris Spielman. That gave him a soft spot in the middle. Everyone converged, and boom, he had everything to the outside. That was too easy.
The extra point is good. Instead of it being 3-0, it's 7-0 with 2:38 left to play in the first quarter at the Pontiac Silverdome. They got an interception. They got a fumble. The Cowboys did. They got a good punt return by Kelvin Martin. And finally, they got some points.
And then the other thing they got is they got a field goal. Jerry Ball had the penalty. They got a first down. And then so they picked up 4 points on that play. And you know, as we look at Wayne Fonts there, the thing that he didn't want to do was to get off to this type of start because, you know, this is a thing that team like the Cowboys can just steamroll you on this. And the other thing it does, it takes the crowd out of the game.
You know, he was saying yesterday that a year ago he thought that the two franchises, Dallas and Detroit, had been built pretty much alike, and they were pretty much last year at the same stage. They're both in the playoffs. They both had a good young quarterback. They both had outstanding runners. They had at that time a good offensive line, as the Cowboys do now. And all of a sudden things just fell apart.
Well, the thing is the Cowboys went out and they did something. I mean, they went out, they got a Charles Haley, they got a Thomas Everett. They really helped their defense.
Gray's going to bring it back from 6 yards deep in the end zone. And he almost was knocked back into the end zone. Flag on the play. Clayton Holmes made the hit on Gray. And he reversed directions even quicker than he can.
Now, Mel Gray is so good. He's one of the few kick returners that no matter how deep the ball is kicked into the end zone, he'll bring it out, and his coach tells him to bring it out.
He was 6 yards deep then.
Illegal block in the back by the receiving team during the return, number 54. 10-yard penalty, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Yeah, they started early in the week. They were going to have Lynn Elliott, they were going to have him pooch kick it. Then he couldn't get to pooch, so they told him, "Ah, the heck with it, just kick it, and we'll see if we can tackle Mel Gray." And you saw that celebration there. I guess they call that the old Texas pump. They gave the old Texas pump because he kicked it to Gray, and Gray didn't hurt him.
And he kicked it 6 yards deep in the end zone.
And I'm sure all week, you heard, well, you got to pooch it, you got to keep it away from it. And they said, the heck with all that, just kick it as far as you can, and we'll take our chances.
Tough time last week early in the game against Philadelphia. His feet back to Sanders. Sanders made Casillas miss. He just got air. Washington made the stop.
The one thing, you see so many guys miss tackles, and you can't lunge at them because Barry Sanders is one of the backs in this league that will always make you miss, and he doesn't always go forward. You see, he'll stop, and he'll go backwards, and he'll go sideways.
Yeah.
So you go to tackle him, and you're lunging this way, and boom, he's going backwards the same way you're lunging. Then he goes around you.
That's one of the reasons you can't try to hit him hard, because you get out of control and you get nothing.
Plus, just a lot of frustration.
Pete, incomplete, intended for Willie Green. Larry Brown. Darren Woodson put the heat on from the corner.
Well, what the Cowboys are doing when the Detroit Lions go to 4 wide receivers, they're using their 4 defensive linemen, 1 linebacker, that's Ken Norton, then they're using 6 defensive backs.
Green wide left. Perriman comes in motion. Left. Incomplete. Intended for Brett Perriman. And the Cowboys were very close. And he had to unload early.
Yeah, of course, Charles Haley came on a stunt again. They got that thing blocked, but Rodney Peete had to get rid of that ball so quickly. In fact, he didn't have chance to let anything develop.
This defense starting to squeeze a little bit.
You see the stunt there? You see the outside guys coming inside, and he just had to get rid of that ball. They just clapped that whole offensive line on.
Arnold standing about 5 deep in the end zone to punt. Kelvin Martin up close to midfield. Short kick. Martin again. Approached it on the run, had to let it bounce, and Detroit downs it at about the 42. Their own 42. And they're really, Dallas leads 7-0, and they're getting the ball in great shape just about every time they get it. 32-yard punt by Arnold. A minute 25 left to play in the first quarter at the Pontiac Silverdome.
You know, the one thing we have here, we see Barry Sanders, and then you go to the other side, you see Emmitt Smith, and I would say, who's the best back in football? And it always starts with these 2 guys, Sanders, Emmitt Smith, and then the other one, of course, is Thurman Thomas up in Buffalo. I think it depends on how you break it down. Even Jimmy Johnson, the Cowboy coach, says he thinks the best pure runner is Sanders.
But he says for our system, Emmitt Smith. Here's Aikman. For Harper. At the 4. It'll be first and goal. Melvin Jenkins, the defender. One of those underthrown that he had to come back for.
You see what Jenkins is arguing? He's arguing and he got pushed. And again, a good wide receiver he'll get that guy when that defensive back gets close to him. See, he goes out, then he goes up, and he'll just kind of push him a little to keep his momentum going. You see right there, just as he's turning, he put his right hand on his back. It wasn't that much of a push, but if you just give him a little anything, the way he's going, he will continue that way so you can stop.
38-yard pass. This is Emmitt Smith. Flag on the play. Smith did not score. He came close. Spielman made the stop, but a penalty marker down.
I think that's one of the things the Cowboys want to establish is Alvin Harper as a deep receiver. Because you know you got Michael Irvin, then you got Alvin Harper deep, and then you got Emmitt Smith in the backfield, then you got Jay Novacek as a tight end. Boy, that will drive any defensive coordinator crazy.
That penalty called against Jerry Ball, and he appears to be hurt. Doesn't want to come out.
That's the second penalty he's had. Remember, on the field goal, he had the penalty where he grabbed, gave the Cowboys a first down.
2 minutes.
Now, if a player gets hurt and a trainer or a doctor or anyone comes on the field, that player has to come out for a play. Jerry Ball tried not to come out, but once they come out in the field, he had to go out. Jerry Ball again is getting double teamed. You see him, he just got knocked down, got rolled over, got everything, and trampled upon, I think.
Second and goal from the 1. Smith. This time I do think he got in. Yes, he did. Chris Spielman made the stop, but that lunge at the top got Emmitt Smith for his second touchdown of the day.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you have a guy like Emmitt Smith, you know that he has good moves, but he's also good on the goal line because he's a powerful guy. You see, you have to get some movement. The blue jerseys all want to go down lower than the white jerseys, and then everyone's down. Then the ball carrier wants to get up over the top and beat that jumping linebacker.
Elliott for the extra point. Berline's the holder. Perfect. It is 14-0 Dallas. And every time they've gotten the ball so far, they've been deep in Detroit territory. 2 turnovers. Poor punt by Detroit. And a good return by Martin. The NFL season continues next Sunday with a doubleheader action here on CBS. The early game, most of you will see Washington take on Kansas City. John and I will be there for that one. Then in game 2, most of you will see the Rams battle these same Dallas Cowboys. Check your local listing for the games and times in your area. It all starts at 12:30 Eastern Time with the NFL Today. The last word before kickoff. Next Sunday here on CBS Sports. Mel Gray.
Yeah, probably when you think of the Detroit Lions after Barry Sanders, this Mel Gray is their most potent weapon.
This one at the 1. Jimmy Johnson back in front, leading Gray. James Washington made the stop. That's the end of the first quarter with the score, Dallas 14, Detroit nothing. The Pontiac Silverdome. Pat Summerall with John Madden. The second quarter about to begin. 14-0 Dallas. Emmitt Smith scored both touchdowns. Elliott both extra points. Dallas has been able to take advantage of great field position. Rodney Peete, the Detroit quarterback. Johnson, the man in motion. To Sanders. You really have to be patient. Thomas Everett brought down Sanders. Vincent Smith with an assist.
Did you see Vincent Smith? The first time Sanders gave Smith a move, and Smith just fell down right in the seat of his pants. And then he gets up. Watch it right here, 57. And watch, he's going to come out there. I got him. Whoop, I don't got him. And then, but he bounced right up and got out there, and he does get in on the tackle.
Stayed with it.
I'll tell you, that's seeing a guy getting ready to tackle him and coming up with air. Initially.
Like tackling a sponge that hurts. Sanders straight ahead. Washington and Everett. A gain of 13 for Barry Sanders.
Yeah, and he does it so coolly. You know, there's so many guys that celebrate. I mean, they make a yard, they get all up, they jump around, they do this, they do that, they make a tackle, they do this. Barry Sanders just makes play after play after play, puts the ball down and walks back to the huddle. Even when he scores touchdowns. Yeah, and the first guy never gets him. Look, the first guy has not tackled him yet. Second guy once, third guy 4 times, and the fourth or more 4 times.
Here's Peete back to throw. The pocket collapsed. Peete ran into his own man and still goes straight ahead for good yardage. And right now, let's send you again back to New York for an NFL update.
All right, Pat, this time we go to the Meadowlands where Vince Workman threads his way through the Giant defense for 3 yards and a touchdown, and the extra point puts the Packers on top of the Giants 7-6 with 9 minutes to play in the first half, Pat.
Here at the Silverdome, we have over 13 minutes. Now we don't. And Dallas leads Detroit 14-0. Rodney Peete, the quarterback. Moore and Green, the wide receivers. 2 tight ends set up now. Sanders to the left. Sanders with room. Detroit first down as he crosses midfield. Tripped up by Ken Norton. A gain of 7 for Barry Sanders.
You know, an interesting play here is they put the tight end in the backfield. Now watch Russell Maryland. They're going to attack him, but they come with the tight end who's in the backfield, and they hit him. Now, usually, they used to have just one back in the backfield. See, but with the tight end back there, he leads, and he's the guy that got the block for Barry Sanders.
It used to be simple playing in the middle. You just fought pressure. Now you can't do that.
Now you got tight ends come from outside, from the backfield, from everywhere.
Peete has to pull it down, and finally takes off with it. Hits even more. Moore to the Dallas 21-yard line. Another Lion first down. Washington wrestled him down. 29-yard pickup.
Yeah, we were talking to Larry Brown about this last night. This is the toughest thing for a defensive back when the quarterback breaks contain. See, he got by Charles Haley. Charles Haley left his feet. Now, this is the toughest covering you have to do. How do you stay with a guy after he breaks contain? Because that throws everything out of timing. Peete made a nice move at dodging Haley there because Charles Haley was coming like a live bullet off his left.
1st and 10, Detroit. Again, Casillas gets the sack, and then Leon Lett joined him. A loss of 8.
Yeah, that's a big thing there, getting that pressure straight up the middle. You know, one of the ways I think you can key Barry Sanders is, look there, he doesn't have his mouthpiece in. I think if you want to look, if he's going to run with the ball, he has that mouthpiece in. If he has that mouthpiece hanging out, I think it's probably a pass.
That's a pretty good key.
But I still think you have to watch Barry Sanders. Say the mouthpiece is going to go in now. Oh, that's out.
He even does that casually.
He can even fake you.
Sanders chased by Washington, who hung on. Sanders got a yard.
But the thing that, you know, when he runs with the ball, that mouthpiece is going to be in. And if there's ever any time that he gets a playoff, it's on a passing play, because unless they're going to throw him a screen, he's not a big part of it. But you say here, he takes that mouthpiece in just before he gets the ball. So you better not wait to find out if he has that mouthpiece in or not.
3rd and 17. Sanders remains the lone setback. And the draw play is to Sanders with some open field. He just sheds a tackle and goes out of bounds at about the 19, bringing up a 4th down. Everett and Brown made the stop.
You know, so far in this game, Pat, the first guy has not tackled Barry Sanders yet. And I think that's probably true of any real good running back. Barry Sanders also has 81 yards. The first guy isn't going to get him. Usually the second guy doesn't either. It's usually that 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th guy to get Barry Sanders.
36-yard field goal attempt coming up by Jason Hansen with Jim Arnold holding. Hansen a very, very strong leg. Ripped it through, and Detroit gets on the scoreboard. It's 14-3 Cowboys. Detroit's had 2 turnovers. Emmitt Smith has scored twice for the Cowboys as a result. But Barry Sanders, 12 rushes for 81 yards, the most he's had in any half of any game so far this year is 57. So Barry Sanders off to a great start. Yet the Lions only have 3 points. Dallas leading 14-3. Hansen set to kick it off. Martin gets it out to about the 33 before he's knocked down after that line drive kickoff by Hansen. 29-yard return, stopped by Colin.
Yeah, a group that's really doing a good job today, just taking off from where they did last week, was that Dallas Cowboy offensive line. They did an outstanding job against the Eagles. In fact, Eric Williams, the right tackle, who someday is going to be one of the best tackles in all of football, was named the NFC Player of the Week for blocking last week against Reggie White.
And is he big?
But that whole line deserves credit because they did a great job.
Emmitt Smith. Got 5 yards. Blades. Here is that offensive line. Stepnoski in the middle. Newton and Giesick the guards. Tournay and Eric Williams, who's 6'6" and 320. He looked like the side of the hotel moved into the room last night.
Yeah, and of that group, he's probably going to be the best. John Giesick grades out the best right now. Of course, big old Nate Newton's always been one of my favorites, a left guard for right tackle. Old Nate, he'll bring a load for you. But that whole group, as a group, has worked together well and been outstanding.
Aikman to Novacek. Not quite enough for a first down. Very close. Spielman out to make the stop.
Yeah, as we look there at Aikman, he brought up an interesting thing yesterday playing in this dome. He said sometimes, you know, quarterbacks think about this, but this guy's a tough guy. I mean, he's not an excuse maker or anything. I'm really impressed with him, but he says in a dome, sometimes the depth perception is tough because of the roof line. You look up and you're looking downfield deep for a guy, and that roof line gets you in the line of where the guy is.
Not so much here as in Minnesota. I guess it's really a problem there. 3rd and 1, Novacek in motion again. That's Emmitt Smith, flag on the play. I think Detroit was offside.
Yep, and Troy Aikman got that one. That's where the quarterback gets up. He tells all the guys, we're going to change the snap count. Let's go on a long count. Everyone hold it, hold it, hold it. And then he gives them that hard count, and the Lions jumped.
There's Big Nate.
Watch Aikman. Now watch his body move as he does this. See, that's what the hard count is. You see it? That was the hard count. When he moved the shoulders and the head. That's when you give it, hut, hut, hut. And that's the real hut is a hard count.
That made me jump.
Sometimes that does happen. You give that old hard count, and your own guy jumps.
I got down in the stance. Irvin split wide to the left. First down, Dallas. That's Novacek in motion. Fake to Smith. The pass to Irvin. That's a catch. Jenkins, the defender. Aikman almost didn't get there in time.
Yeah, I was wondering when he was going to throw to Michael Irvin. That time there, he was wide open. The Lions were in a zone. Irvin just came out there and running out. You just see him. He gets out there to the out, just keeps both feet in bounds. There was no one around him. Good read by Troy Aikman.
Again, Irvin left. Harper wide right. Aikman. Batted down, intended again for Irvin. Hit by Dennis Gibson.
The other thing that Aikman has done in this game here, he almost got intercepted there. That would have been a heck of a play by Gibson, but Aikman has hit 5 different receivers on these 5 different drives. So, that's a good thing about having good receivers, is that you have a chance to spread the ball around. When we talked yesterday to Wayne Fonts, he said that if they struggle, he would go to Eric Kramer. I see Eric Kramer warming up now.
Here's Emmitt Smith to about the 37. Stopped by Kofer. Smith got 6.
But the Lions are 2-6, and there's a lot of people saying that, Eric Kramer beat the Cowboys in the playoffs here last year. Eric Kramer came into the game against the Cowboys when Rodney Peete got hurt, as a matter of fact, and had a good day. And Wayne Font says, he said, if I felt we were struggling in the game, I would go to Eric Kramer.
Well, they really have been able to move the ball with Rodney Peete. It's just that Dallas has had such great field position every time they got the ball. Aikman on 3rd down. Back to throw it. Dumps it to Harper. First down, Dallas at the Detroit 21. William White stopped Harper.
Yeah, I'll tell you, did Mike Kofer put a move on Tuanay? Watch him here. Here's Mark Tuanay, who's been doing a heck of a job. But watch him as he gets him coming out here. He gets that club inside and puts him right on the ground. This is a strong guy. Watch him, boom. Now watch your left hand come in and club him right to the ground. That's the thing where you get the guy going. They call that torque or something. You get him going the way he's going, and just take your arm and just club him that same way.
That's Emmitt Smith. Ran into a stack of blockers. Kofer and Spielman on the tackle for Detroit.
But this Cowboy team right now, I don't know if they're the most talented team in football, but they're sure the best playing right now. I mean, the things that they do offensively. I think you know about Aikman, you know about Smith, you know about Michael Irvin, Harper, all those guys. Novacek. The offensive line has really been doing a job, and the defense being #1 rated, they've done a heck of a job.
As you say, they may not be the most talented, but they're the best, and that's a tribute to Jimmy Johnson and the coaching staff. Emmitt Smith, tribute to him too. Not many blockers as he was stopped by Melvin Jenkins.
Is Woody Widenhofer with the headset there. He's a defensive coordinator. Wayne Fonts was just asking him, hey, what's happening out there? Well, what's happening is you're playing a team that is a better offense than your defense is.
3rd, about 3.
And that offensive line has done a job on Jerry Ball. Other than that one time he was singled, he really hasn't been a factor against the run.
There's a pinched nerve in his shoulder. Emmett Smith on the draw play broke one tackle before he got started and got the first down. Kofor finally brought him down.
I think Porcher, number 91, got penetration. Robert Porcher, and he was in the backfield. And how Smith got away from that, you wonder. Here's Porcher right here. He hits this thing, boom. Emmett Smith hits it right here and gets away from him. Yeah, because one thing, you need penetration to stop the run, but you also need balance like Smith has there to get away from the penetration that's trying to stop the run.
1st and 10 just outside the 10. Irvin wide right this time. That's Harper in motion behind Aikman. Emmett Smith to about the 6.5. Pritchett made the stop.
And Emmett Smith carries the ball so much, and someone was talking to him during the week, you know, are you worried that you're going to carry the ball so much and get beat up that you won't have a long career? I said, no, you can't think about those things. He said, what am I supposed to say when they call my number? Am I supposed to say, no, I don't want it? You just go and you play. And I'll tell you, he's one of those guys that said last week you couldn't get the blood out of the turnip. They got the blood out of the turnip last week in Emmett Smith.
2 minutes left to play in the first half. Dallas at the Detroit 7. They lead 14-3. Back at the Pontiac Silverdome, the home of the Detroit Lions. Dallas, the best record in pro football. There's Eric Kramer, who beat Dallas in the playoffs last year and did it very effectively, warming up on the sideline. The Cowboys leading 14-3, about to add more. 2nd down. They can make a first down without scoring. Aikman tried to jump it into the middle. Hit by Jerry Ball.
Did you see the vertical leap of Jerry Ball on that play?
No.
He got up in the air, and then he looked like he got mad at the ball. That looked like a volleyball spike. Watch him get up there, and then boom, he's going to knock it up and then try and get it down. But you see that? I mean, he knocked that thing up into a thing like a kick, and then he got all discombobulated. I mean, he had the right leg going one way, the left leg going the other, both arms going, shirt tail hanging out.
Things started coming out of there. 3rd at the 6.5. Aikman to throw it. Outside Smith. Taken out of bounds by William White. And field goal time.
And that was a big play by Jerry Ball, because that made that 3rd down, and now they were rushing, and they made Aikman throw the ball when he didn't want to the short guy and not get the first down. Hey, but I think you go back to that 2nd down play. There was a big play by Jerry Ball that made him 3rd and long. Then they got the pass rush, and he had to get the ball off too early.
So the field goal team is on with 1.5 minutes left. A Detroit timeout. Dallas set to try a field goal. Lynn Elliott. Jimmy Johnson looking on. Steve Berline holding. 25 yards out. 17-3. Dallas leads Detroit. Stranger to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. His Raiders and Kansas City Chiefs wage the best war in the old AFL as John and his arch rival
Welcome back,
Hank
John.
Stram.
It's nice to have you back in Kansas City. You'll be interested to know that I've informed the current coaching staff to make sure they put the sound system on so they can listen to all the things you say while you're there, just like we used to do when you came down to play us in Kansas City.
I'm sure you remember it well.
I remember Municipal Stadium, though, when we used to play in there.
So do I. That's Gray finally taken down by Darren Woodson. But a flag on the play way back deep in Detroit territory. And as you would possibly figure, illegal use of the hands, illegal block in the back by the return team. It happens so often.
Illegal
you
block
get
in the
a
back by the receiving team during the return, number 21. 10-yard penalty, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with having the best thing you do is a kick returner. It seems like half the time or more than half the time you run back a kick, you have a penalty on the play.
So Rodney Peete apparently will still be the Detroit quarterback. Dallas leading 17-3.
Yeah, I know. To go to the zoo, they want to probably put you in a cage and have people feed you, throw turnips at you. Turnips and rutabagas, big old hunks of meat at you. In a cage. Put Madden in a zoo.
They threw the turnips to you, you throw them back.
Yeah, I don't know where you get turnips.
I told you get them out of the ground. Woodson made the stop on Sanders, but a penalty flag down again.
No, but if you wanted to buy some time, you wanted to go to a restaurant, and you say, well, I feel like having some turnips tonight. I want to go get a, what do you call them, a plate or a bowl? I want to get a big old bowl of turnips.
Well,
or do you go to buy them in a restaurant?
Well, usually you buy them in one of those stands along the side of the road, and they got a lot of sand on them. So you got to be careful you get rid of the sand. But the aroma and the taste, well, you know.
Yeah. I'd rather do that. Those offensive linemen down there, looking at those plays, looking at the defenses, see how they line up, what they're doing, checking it out.
A lot of the linemen can't flip those pages like that. Sanders, Tony Tolbert, and Charles Haley wrapped him up. Timeout, Dallas.
You know, you just look at the guy, Barry Sanders, and the thing, you just can't get him. I mean, you know, he's a kid that probably when he was 5 years old, he was never it. You know, and he'll probably in his lifetime never be it. You know, like the first guy has never made a tackle yet. The first guy that hit him hasn't tackled him today. The second guy got 4 of them. And then it usually, like I said, it's usually the 4th or the 5th guy there that gets them.
I don't care who you are or how long you play this game. When you start to get hit, you close your eyes. And if you close your eyes when you're trying to tackle him, forget it. He's gone.
Yeah, and on the other hand, both he and Emmitt Smith, all the great backs, have great vision. You know, I mean, they can see the guy coming at him, and they can see on both sides anything coming at him. And sometimes you look at a guy like Barry Sanders, and you think that he can see behind him.
But you lose track of him, and he's all of a sudden he vanished.
You see that? There was some guy in a suit holding a football. What the heck was he doing?
Here's Sanders. Leon left. And Tony Tolbert led the Dallas defensive charge. 2 yards for Sanders. Timeout, Dallas. 53 seconds left. First half.
Nipper and Chipper show us what the RCA home theater with SRS sound looks like. Now they show us what it feels like. Looks like.
53 seconds left to play in the first half. Coming up, Greg and Terry with the scores and highlights, and a special feature on roughing the ref. And they don't wear pads.
No, and that has to be the umpire, and he's the guy who stands right behind that defensive line. It seems like this year, every game we do, we see an umpire get hit, not only on the running game, but teams are running so many crossing patterns now that the crossing receivers are hitting those umpires.
I'm surprised that they don't get hit more often.
What they're supposed to do is on a pass, when the ball snapped, they're supposed to step up into the line. And sometimes they just get stationary there, and they're like a stump out there.
And there are teams that use that. Try to run the defender into the umpire. Other games later today, Phoenix and the Rams, Redskins at Seattle, the Jets, Denver, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. That's a big one. San Diego, Kansas City, that also a big one. Tonight, the Bengals and the Bears. 3rd and 12 here at the Silverdome. Jimmy Johnson, who injured his ankle earlier, came back to try to play, has injured it again, and now he's out of the action. The Lions will go with 4 wide receivers. They do have a tight end in motion. Pete to Sanders. He just sort of skates out to about the 10 and a flag on the play.
Yeah, this is a tough thing. The Detroit offensive players are getting frustrated. The fans are getting frustrated. But they're already down 17-3. They have bad field position, and they want them to throw there. They have trouble with their offensive line, trouble with pass protection, and you think that this is a time to open it up, but it really isn't a time to open it up. I mean, if you open it up here, this roof could cave in on you.
Face mask violation called against the Cowboys. Intentional or unintentional? Unintentional.
It's just fun to watch Barry Sanders run, too. I mean, you can say, well, they're not passing. They ought to be throwing the ball, but the alternative isn't bad, especially when you have poor field position like this. Now, like you say, if this is unintentional, it's a 5-yard penalty. If it's intentional, it would be a 15.
There was no infraction on the play.
Now they say no infraction.
Oh, it has to be an infraction. What do you mean? What do you mean there was no infraction? We saw the infraction. It was just whether you're going to give them a 5-yard penalty or a 15-yard penalty.
If it was a 5, it would not have been a first down.
Yeah. How can the guy call it, see it, and not call it an infraction? What do you want, some more infraction? I mean, I think that was a borderline 5 or 15, and then the Cowboys saw they dodged a bullet, so they're taking a timeout here.
And so Detroit will have to punt again from their own end zone.
Weekend. No time.
Halftime, just 44 seconds, as a matter of fact. The Cowboys now have used all of their timeouts. Jimmy Johnson headed for the locker room. Jim Arnold in the end zone to punt. Hasn't been one of his best days. Cowboys have Martin back by himself this time, and that means they're going to put some heat on the punter. They're coming after this one. He got it out of there. Martin signals fair catch. Run into by a Lion, and flags come flying from everywhere. You have to give that man an opportunity to make the catch. He signaled.
What the complaint is, what Melvin Jenkins is saying, that he was blocked into him. See, now he signaled for the fair catch. And as you said, you have to let him catch the ball, but was he blocked into him? See, Jenkins is saying that he was blocked into him. See, now Gant is right there behind him, and he's going to push him, but he really doesn't touch him. I think that's kind of one of those, he didn't mean it, but he did do it. I don't think he was blocked.
That was Woodson.
Interference with the opportunity to catch the kick on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, that was Darren Woodson running with Melvin Jenkins, and it didn't look like he touched him, because if he did block him, it would have had to been a clip. So if he didn't clip him, then he didn't block him, then he didn't block him into it.
And so Dallas takes over again in Detroit territory. Detroit's been penalized 6 times. The Cowboys only once. They lead 17-3. 34 seconds left to play in the first half.
What about the flip in the back?
Aikman with time. To Novacek, dropped it. Juggled it and lost it.
Well, which wasn't bad, because remember, the Cowboys have no timeouts here. So I think if you're going to throw the ball, you want to get it to the sidelines before you take it to the end zone.
Coming up at the half, Greg and Terry with the scores and highlights and that feature on Roughing the Ref. Bumping the
That'd probably be more apropos.
Urban and Martin to the left. Aikman to throw. Looking left. Urban, the catch. And the clock will still run. He didn't get out of bounds. So the Cowboys will have to hurry up. Sheldon White. Not Urban out of bounds, but the contact did not stop the clock. Aikman does.
You know, Pat, we were talking about the umpire and show why he's in the middle of it. Here's the umpire right here. See, he's here behind the defense. Now, as these guys start going back, he has to start coming up. So guys are coming across this way and hitting him. Then if they run the ball, they run it right at him. So that's why. See, he even gets in a stance. You see him? Both hands on both knees, kind of knees bent a little, eyes crossed, the whole thing.
Elliott from 42. And it's good. Still 3 seconds left to play in the first half. But Elliott puts the Cowboys on top now 20-3.
And that was good coaching there, too, because when they had that penalty, there wasn't a penalty. Jimmy Johnson took a timeout, used his third timeout, got good field position, got that 15-yard penalty, hit a couple of plays, and then got the field goal before they go to the intermission.
Talk about a guy that really gets into the game.
Well, he feels a lot better about it now than he did last night. He was talking last night that the Cowboys were ripe, that they were too relaxed during the week. And I've never seen a coach as upset as he was about Michael Irvin missing that airplane.
Oh, boy. He was the color of a rutabaga.
Yeah, that's right. Michael Irvin, I still think, is feeling the wrath of Jimmy Johnson. We were at the hotel, and they were waiting for Michael Irvin. Jimmy was going to have a talk with him, but yeah, I mean, he's been his guy too. I mean, he coached him in college, and of course with the Cowboys. And you know, when it happens to a star, it's a tough thing.
There's that pooch kick, bounding around. Mel Gray winds up with it, winds up on the ground. Woodson first there, and Clayton Holmes also to make the stop. That's the end of the first half with the score. Dallas 20, Detroit 3.
Seven score. Vince Workman from 3 yards out puts the Packers up 7-6. And the Packers have a guy named Chuck Cecil on the field who hits awful hard.
Well, you got to keep your eye on Cecil. He reads the run well, comes up into the right of your screen, wham, just unloads. Also unloads on a receiver the very next play.
Now the Giants have been able to run the ball well. That opens up the passing game, and Jeff Hostetler finds Stephen Baker down the sideline. That set up a touchdown, the 35-yarder, and the Giants lead.